Hello everybody and welcome to Omnipoke, the channel that brings you guys everything Pokemon. If you're looking for TCG codes, including celebrations codes, make sure you check out the Poketown store, where you can get 5% off your order using code Omnipoke. Today, we've had some very exciting news. VSTAR has finally been announced with the revelation of Arceus VSTAR, which is the first of these VSTAR cards we've seen. We even saw it in English, so likely this was going to be our big Worlds reveal, had Worlds have happened this year. Usually they reveal like next year's mechanic at Worlds in Japanese and English. So this is probably what would have been revealed this year at Worlds had we had it. We've known about VSTAR for about 8 months now, but we haven't known what sort of the mechanic is going to do. We've had a fair few guesses, but we finally know. And yeah, it's really exciting. It's kind of a combination in my mind of VMAXs and GXs, which could be worse. I'm not the biggest fan of the VMAX mechanic, but I was a huge fan of the GX mechanic, so could definitely be worse. But yeah, Arceus VSTAR is going to be the sort of poster card of February's set, which we don't have a name for in English yet, but essentially this is going to be showing off that new, excuse me, the new VSTAR mechanic. I've got a really bad cough, by the way, so apologies for the coughing within the video. But yeah, basically VSTAR is the same as VMAX. You evolve your Pokemon V, in this case an Arceus V, into an Arceus VSTAR. The difference is this only gives up 2 prize cards, not 3. As you can see, the the HP is slightly lower, around 40 to 50 lower than a lot of the VMAX Pokemon. But you only give up 2 prize cards, which is pretty important, I think. It's, in my mind, a step in the right direction away from 3 prizes. And yeah, so that's pretty cool. I think it's a positive that we're moving back towards chunky 2 prizes rather than 3 prizes that mean the game is over in 2 attacks. This will push towards 3 attacks, and then maybe one day we can go back to single prize archetypes. You never know. But yeah, the big mechanic is this VSTAR Power mechanic, which is very, very similar to a GX move. So you can only use 1 VSTAR Power in a game. There's going to be a GX marker a bit like, or a VSTAR marker a bit like a GX marker. And that is going to indicate whether you've used your VSTAR Power for the game. And so far, we've only seen this ability. I would imagine, because they're called VSTAR Powers, they're all going to be abilities. But they could be attacks as well. I think this opens up the door for them to be both abilities and attacks, which is cool. I think them being abilities is really interesting, actually, because it means that you can use them mid-turn. It means that you can use them a bit more flexibly, which is cool. Obviously, with an attack, you use it, and that is the end of the turn. Think back to like Decidueye GX's Hollow Hunt. You got 3 cards back from your discard pile into your hand, but then your opponent could disrupt your hand, and you could kind of lose out on that value. So it was all about using it at the correct time and stuff like that. Similarly, because we can only use this VSTAR Power once per game, it's going to be about using it at the right time to get the maximum advantage from it. But it is a little bit more forgiving, given that in this case you can use the power mid-turn and then still gain the benefit from it. So yeah, it's really interesting. I think the GX mechanic was tainted by things like ADP and Pikarom that maybe left a very, very sour taste in people's mouths. But I think the GX mechanic as a whole was a very, very good mechanic. Anything that causes more intricacy and more decision making in games, i.e. things like when to use Hollow Hunt or whatever, I think is great. Obviously things like ADP and stuff, they took away from that because you just turbo ADP turn 1, so there was no intricacy to that. It wasn't when do I use ADP GX attack, you just always used it turn 1. So that's why I think the GX mechanic kind of could be seen as getting a bad rap, but I think in general the mechanic was very good and indicts a lot of thought-provoking gameplay and decision-making gameplay, which is good. So yeah, the mechanic I'm very pleased about on the whole. 2 prizes, once per turn mechanic I really like, or once per game mechanic I liked of the GXs. Outside of the tag teams, I think the tag teams were what kind of left a bad taste in people's mouths, but yeah, I liked the mechanic. Excuse me. So yeah, that's Arceus VSTAR. Let's having a closer look in general at the card. It's got Trinity Nova for 3 energy as its first attack for 200 damage. search your deck for up to 3 basic energy cards and attach them to your Pokemon V in any way you like, then shuffle your deck. So it's essentially like ADP's old GX attack, old regular attack, or Picarom's attack, or stuff like that, where you're just able to search for energy. Obviously bumped up the damage to 200, which is pretty nuts. This is all colourless as well, which is very good. It means that we can play things like Capture and stuff like that, but we can play Melanie, we can play all sorts of different, basically any energy acceleration that comes out, this will potentially be able to use because it's all colourless, which is cool. So yeah, that's very interesting. Locked at basic energy as well, so we can't be getting specials and stuff out, which again is like a nice way of capping the card, making sure it doesn't go too out of control. But yeah, 3 for 200 and energy acceleration is obviously bananas, which is it's just crazy. It means that we can even potentially play like Cheryl engines and stuff, where you can just because this is an evolved Pokemon, you can Trinity Nova to power up a benched one, and then this can take a hit, you can heal and go into your benched one, and then Trinity Nova back onto the new one, back onto the old one, which is pretty interesting. So a lot of sort of things we can do with that style of attack. And then the VSTAR Power, Star Burst. During your turn, you may search your deck for up to 2 cards and put them into your hand, then shuffle your deck. You can't use more than 1 VSTAR Power in a game. So yeah, essentially this is just going to be, it's going to mean that you can basically never dead draw off of things like Marnie and stuff, because you can save it for when your opponent is going to try and disrupt you. You can always find your supporter out or whatever. You can use it to find things like boss, you can use it for combo pieces, things like cross switches or whatever if you're deciding not to play boss, and there's a new way of playing supporters and stuff like that. Obviously this will eventually be in a format without boss, so that will be what some are only gusting, so it's a great combo. Like it can create these combos, which is cool. It can find energy, it can find Pokemon, because it can find anything, it's very flexible. Because it's 2 cards, it can get these really, really intricate combos out potentially, which is cool. So yeah, a very, very, again, on top of it being only a 1 per game use, so you have to pick wisely when you use it. The ability itself is very thought-provoking and has a lot of decision-making in it, which again is really, really good because we like decision-making in games. I think that's something really lacking in Pokemon right now. I think the Inteleon engine is great for the game because it promotes decision-making with Drizzles and stuff. We just need a wider variety of supporters, basically, that aren't Marnie, Boss, and Research. And then we'll start to have a lot of decisions in our games, and, I think we could be heading towards a really, really interesting format. But yeah, Starbirth is... there's a lot of decisions naturally built into the card, which is very exciting. And I think the card seems very, very good on initial consumption. It's got a very strong attack, very efficient. It sets up another attacker. As well as a lot of flexibility with the ability as well. So yeah, very, very excited for this mechanic. Obviously, the actual scan in Japanese, you can see all of the honestly beautiful colours of the card. The cards look incredible as well. Apparently, they have a lot of gold all over them. You can see like down here and all across VSTAR, there's there's gold everywhere. And then the cards also have texture as well, which is really cool. So similar to like the VMAXs and stuff. So yeah, very exciting stuff. They also revealed Arceus V, which I think this is has also been released in Japan as a promo. So yeah, we will be getting Arceus V, which is obviously the Pokemon that you evolve into, Arceus VSTAR. Trinity Charge for 2 energy lets you search your deck for up to 3 basic energy and attach them to your Pokemon V in any way you like. So even the basic helps set up these Arceus VSTAR, which is really cool. We could even see like a quad Arceus VSTAR deck where they're just powering up each other, healing off, being tanky. 280 for two prizes is monstrous, to be honest, especially with like Cheryl engines in the back. So yeah, we could see like a quad build, which is pretty cool. And then Power Edge just does 130, which in combination with Trinity Nova, Power Edge into Trinity Nova will be doing pretty much most of the VMAXs in format will be knocked out. So yeah, very, very interesting cards. Just wanted to give my initial thoughts. I think this is a really, really interesting and exciting mechanic. Like I say, it's kind of a combination of GXs and VMAXs. I'm still not enthused by them being evolution Pokemon, but if the format does slow down to the point where we're able to evolve and not be punished too much, which it kind of seems sus with Genesect coming out, but hey, it could be really interesting. I'm very excited about it. I think the whole VSTAR mechanic, I think there will be a lot of people that whinge and moan that it's just a rehash of GXs, and GXs were trash because of ADP and Pikarom and stuff like that. But think back to like Decidueye Hollow Hunt era and Zoroark era and all of that stuff. There's a lot of formats that a lot of people really liked, and there are a lot of GX attacks that were people are very, very fond of. I keep harking back to Decidueye, but it's one of my favourite GXs of all time. Hollow Hunt was a very, very thought-provoking card, or thought-provoking attack, and that's how Starbirth feels to me at the moment. Obviously, there is potential for like ADP style changes. But imagine like ADP's GX attack, but on an ability only used for one turn. So you say this turn your attacks do 30 more damage, and you take one extra prize card. Imagine how much fairer that would be. You then have to still take 5 prizes normally. You just only get that one bonus prize once. That would be really interesting. Excuse me. So yeah, hopefully you can see that this mechanic is way better than like the tag team GX attacks. This is much more like the old GX attacks, which were a lot fairer and a lot more entertaining to play with and against, I feel. Very, very, a lot of good decision making in them, which is something I think is really important for the game. So yeah, very exciting stuff. And yeah, thank you very much for watching. Hopefully you're as excited as I am for the VSTAR mechanic. I think it's... I honestly am really excited. I think it's going to be very good. I think, like I say, people will whinge and moan that it's too much like GXs, but I think this is the good GXs, rather than the bad GXs, which were the tag teams and stuff, arguably. I think this is more like the Hollow Hunts and stuff, which I think is the direction I would want to see VSTAR Powers go in. But yeah, thank you very much for watching. I've been Jack from Omnipoke, and I look forward to seeing you guys in another video. Cheers.